And, we've talked about, cybersecurity. We talked about artificial intelligence and governance, regulation, and, now we have to talk about cybersecurity because every day there are a lot of data breaches happening and there are ransomware attacks. And, we can use artificial intelligence, and we've been seeing that artificial intelligence can be used for both, for defending your company, and also it's being used for scanning and vectoring, vector attacks and things. So I just like to, I just want to first open up the conversation to all the panelists and start with Kavitha over here. And so we've been hearing about AI in cybersecurity space for a few years now. With the advent of new generative AI, what are your thoughts on how AI is going to change cybersecurity? If you could talk about that. Yeah.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure being here. And of course, after so many eminent speakers, coming later on in the day is always different. However, I think AI has, it's not about what AI is going to do for cybersecurity, but what it's already doing for it. AI has changed the face of cybersecurity significantly. And not just recently, since the advent of ChatGPT in its new avatar of generative AI, but what it has been over several years. AI has changed how we operate at scale and speed. And that really is the challenge of cybersecurity, of any cybersecurity professional over the years. With the advent of AI, what has happened to cybersecurity is it is available as a tool for protection. On the other hand, it is also available for the bad guys to come back and go ahead and launch attacks. What at one point in time used to be a cybersecurity specialized criminal to come out there and go ahead and attack organizations or societies on a whole is now potentially available with relatively limited skills as capabilities for ordinary people to go ahead and launch attacks. Now that's a threat. On the other hand, we also have this as a tool to be able to go ahead and protect, which is significantly more than what we used to have in the past in terms of how we can shape cybersecurity for organizations, societies, and countries as a whole in terms of what is possible with AI. That's broadly how it is. However, there's a lot more and a lot of devil in the details. I'm sure my other panelists can add.
Ashu, do you want to take that forward, and do you want to get your own thoughts?
I think I will cover in two aspects, both what Kavitha talked about in continuation with that. See, every tool has got both plus and minus side. If you start with the minus, the power is now with the cyber criminals has got multi-fold, from the speed standpoint as well, because now they can attacks, they can stimulate the attacks, whether it is the generating phishing, emails, or generating fake websites, or creating a vulnerabilities to the systems. They can do it at a lightning speed. So that's a way now the safeguard, and it is very difficult to defend against sometimes, because they have got the power, they have got the speed as well right now. Now we as an organization right now, we need to come with the different mindsets. How do we safeguard all these attacks? Do we have a broader ways to apply this tool to train our manpower, to do the training using this GenAI tools, do the synthetic transactions on that? How do we improve or maybe modernize our cybersecurity tools over there to defend these attacks on that? How can we stop the supply chain management attacks? How can we overall increase the resilience of the organization? I think that's the way we need to use the power of this GenAI tool, and it has just started right now. So we need to ensure that our all ecosystems and systems are being integrated to this tool right now, so we can maximum tap in the power of this new GenAI.
Okay. Huzefa, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I know it's post-lunch session. Hello, everyone. And I want to shake up the room a bit, so I'm going to throw in a lot of statistics to just liven it up. You asked a question that is it worrisome? Absolutely. You know why? The average cost of a breach, can anybody guess? It's $4.5 million. If I total up all the cost of breaches in the world, in 2025, it is slated to reach $10 trillion. If cyber breach costs were a country, it would be the third biggest country in the world in terms of GDP. So that's what we are up against. And I'm just going to put my thoughts in three areas, and pretty much with what Kavitha and Ashu said. The first is, how is AI coming and changing the threat landscape? So the three parameters, right? One is the speed of attack. In the good old days, the time it took for a hacker to infiltrate, move around, take data and move out was an average of 44 days. Some days back, a customer got breached, and obviously I'm not going to say that, not here, thankfully in India. The time taken to get in, recognize, get the data out was 13 hours. That's what we are up against. So that's only possible by these. The scale has differed. Anybody heard about Warm GPT? Yeah? That's actually a tool out there using LLM languages where you can define and attack. The nature of vector of attack has changed. Voice impersonation, deep fake videos. So many times husband call wife and wife call husband, yaar OTP de do. Can you guarantee that it's that person calling? So it's changing the game in terms of attack. In terms of the defense side, as Kavitha said, right? Harnessing AI primarily falls into three areas. How can I prevent the attack? If I cannot prevent, can I detect it soon? And if I have detected it, can I remediate it faster, right? So those are the second harnessing. And the third area, which is garnering a lot of thoughts and efforts, is in terms of the secure usage of, especially after the ChatGPT thing came in. Every organization worth its salt is trying things around. How do you secure? How do you put guardrails around that? I think the minister also spoke very briefly around that. So that's the third area I would probably look at.
Right. I think I'll move across to the stages of securing infrastructure right now. And, from prevention to detection, remediation, and automation. Again, Kavitha, how can organizations utilize AI in their cybersecurity strategy to not only detect threats, but also, assessing and managing cyber risks effectively?
Sure. So as Huzefa said, it starts with the changed threat landscape itself. Threat hunting as a process is now vastly different with the advent of AI. Of course, there are the aspects of making sure that you're able to go ahead and have talent who can now leverage AI to go ahead and do threat hunting at the scale and speed that is required. But the good part is you can use generative AI to also skill your talent. So you can have AI for good even out there. As our predecessing panelists just spoke, there is a lot of AI that can be used for skilling, and that skilling can then be leveraged for cybersecurity. Our cybersecurity analysts can be vastly empowered with AI. Threat hunting is one aspect, and that's really, really a lot more of a specialized area, if you will. But even otherwise, over and above and beyond, if you go into the detection space itself, while detection capabilities are available with tools, and a lot of tools and tool suites go ahead and have inbuilt AI into them, it is also about how best you can amplify human potential, and you can go ahead and leverage the tools to be able to go ahead and protect with the kind of scale and with a lot more efficiencies that you can go ahead and derive on cybersecurity. If we want to go into the respond part of the ecosystem itself, the response can be much faster than what it used to be in the past, because aspects of containment, aspects of going ahead and making sure that your remediation is in place need not be much longer. It can be much faster now because of AI. Now, with all of these, your risk itself is completely different. You will be able to go ahead and categorize risk. You will be able to go ahead and both broad-based risk as well as go and define them much sharper to be able to go ahead and treat them, eliminate them to the extent of what the organization or what societies and countries, as I say, would be able to go ahead and do because of the capabilities that you're going to get out of AI.
Right. Ashu, as a CIO with years of experience, what recommendations do you have for using AI for mitigating attacks, cybersecurity attacks? If you could,
So I'll just give you light, on the perspective of most of the organizations, were using signature-based detection system in their environment to safeguard their environment, and it was very good for the known threats or they were complying with the known databases and all. It was not really catching up with the unknown threats or maybe the new threats and all. Now, with the advent of AI, probably we can solve this problem, and we can handle both known and unknown as well as the new threats. The new zero-day attack threats are also coming in. We can handle it. So my view is that all these organizations should review their deployment across the environment and enterprise. Whatever is traditional lacking, they should be all AI-powered, integrated, and having trained with the machine learning algos, with your environment, with your networks, how you can enrich the database and models and all, whereby you can safeguard your network for both unknown threats and all. That's the way it should be looking into the environment, as well as I see that when you create a model, it's not going to stop here. You will continuously training your model, and it is not possible with the humans. The kind of a speed you need to attack, you need to safeguard your environment. So with the Gen AI power, if all these enterprises can double click on the deployments and environment, move to AI powered enabled tools and systems and modernize their deployments and all, it is a way to go.
Right. Coming to Huzefa, right, Palo Alto has been working in this sector for, very, widely.
Yeah.
And, you have a lot of customers across in India and across, what new capabilities are you delivering to your customers, in prevention and everything?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Let's take prevention, and I'll take where Ashu left. How many of you are from cybersecurity world? Show of hands. Good. For the rest of you, as a quick summary. Cybersecurity is all about if there is any vulnerability, any hole, any gaping thing in your environment, the attacker tries to exploit that. And there are only two ways to do that, right? He uses any known attacks or an unknown attacks. It's very simple. I'm oversimplifying things, right? Now, how do you take these whole set of known attacks, and try and prevent things? And if you don't know, if it's an unknown thing, how do you detect and respond? Now take this to those 10,000 servers, 50,000 endpoints, employees, 800 apps, and try doing this, stopping the known attacks, detecting the unknown attacks. Absolutely not possible using the normal means of thing, right? What you said, Ashu. So what is giving us that positive or optimism is three things, right? One is this entire prevention mechanism. The security is being delivered via cloud, and cloud has these architectures which are unlimited bandwidth, unlimited compute available for vendors like us to ensure that those last known billion attacks, whatever it is, we can come at the right time and stop it. So cloud delivery or cloud model is number one, which is playing a lot of role. So once you do that, the second thing obviously which starts happening is you start collecting telemetry data from all of these preventive things, right? Whether it's the endpoint, your network, your cloud. Now this is good data, and this is where what it differentiates a wheat from the chaff. AI is only as good as the data that is. The good AI, great AI, bad AI. So data is the second thing which is giving us a lot of hope. We are collecting telemetries, and I'll share statistics again. And the last thing is, once you do that, how do you apply those AI ML models that you spoke about, the deep learning ones, to ensure that you're delivering, stopping threats in line as they are happening. Now let me throw you some stats. Again, as I said, it's post-lunch session. You'll enjoy this. On a daily basis, we are tracking close to 750 million telemetry objects, those files, unique connections, URLs. On a daily basis, we are stopping 1.5 million absolute new attacks, not seen before, 0 day. That's the power. Now, all of these goes into a repository, right, which is the previously known attacks and these new ones. On a daily basis, we are stopping 8.6 billion, that's B, attacks for our customer base. That's more than the human population on Earth. That's the scale we are talking about.
Kavitha, my next question is to you. How can organizations strike a balance between AI-driven automation and, human intuition, threat detection, and risk assessment? Would you want to take that?
Okay. See, I think I'm going to take off on what Huzefa has said. There was a point where it was only cloud. The cloud was ruling, and those were the technologies which were the ones which were thought to be just important. A lot of things changed with the advent of the cloud. Experiences changed. A lot of consumerization happened of technology itself. With the advent of AI now, you're really having a lot of superpowers in your hand. A lot of superpowers. And you can really, really go rule the world, not just this world, but even elsewhere, potentially. With all this, of course, there are apprehensions. But if we go ahead and look at it as AI being able to go ahead and amplify human potential, then we can completely go ahead and change the face of the planet itself. How can we go about doing that? Of course, for that, we first have to secure AI. We have to bring in a level of comfort and reassurance that AI is secure, AI is good. There are various ways to go ahead and do that. If you go into AI itself, a lot more into how it works, you would go ahead and look at it as saying that, hey, based on the access types, based on the model types, based on the attack types, based on the data types, you can go ahead and bring in the level of security which will go ahead and secure AI. And there are definitive proven ways to go ahead and do it. It is not just unfounded paranoia. On the other hand, there are definitive solutions to be able to go ahead and manage AI and hence amplify human potential. To that, if we go ahead and bring in the aspects of talent, the aspects of training, the aspects of skilling, also using AI, we will be able to go ahead and leverage cybersecurity to its fullest and make sure that all organizations are secure. What we also have to be conscious about, of course, is that there are threats out there which are changing, which are evolving. And for that, you have to be one step ahead. But AI can help you over there as well, because it's also a lot about prediction.
Ashu, what are your thoughts on this theme, striking a balance between AI-driven, automation and human intuition in cybersecurity? Would you?
See, it has got, humongous space in this area right now. And one of the case, I would like to take in my view right now, it's a automated penetration testing, Okay. Today it is all outsourced, manual. How do we do that? So I see this use case by leveraging Gen AI. If we can simulate the attack on APIs, okay, and and spotlighting the vulnerabilities for preventive maintenance or preventive alerts and all, and thereby if we do that, this approach will be taking this organization to be a step ahead, whereby we can take this entire telemetry data to safeguard our environment from this abuse APIs and all, from the hackers community standpoint, well ahead in the time. That's the way I would like to see this is one of the case for automation we can bring in the space right now, and which will be safeguard our organization accordingly. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Ashu. Huzefa, coming to you. Palo Alto has been using AI, for detecting attacks and everything. Could you give us an instance? Could you talk about instances where AI has detected an attack which traditional methods wouldn't have had to, wouldn't be able to?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? On one hand, we are fighting adversaries who are infiltrating and exfiltrating in hours. And on the other hand, if you look at, and this is a statistics, you can look it up, the average time for a company to detect the attacks is 220 days. To response is another 50-55 days. Now look at the gap, right? That gap cannot be done or filled with the traditional means of ways. And what is at the heart of all this, is your security operation center. How many of you seen these glorified screens in movies which things are happening, things going up and down and stuff? Yeah, that's your SOC. Now SOC is currently inundated because, we've done a good job of putting security tools, preventive tools everywhere, trying to protect things, and all of them are sending millions, if not billions of alerts to this poor SOC. And what does the SOC analyst do? Sit there trying to make sense out of things. Clearly he's going to miss out on some threats. Clearly that's going to impact on his company's brand or whatever you want to call it when it attacks, right? All of these, it comes down to two parameters: the mean time to detect and the mean time to, I would say, remediate. Let's not even say respond, right? And I think Swapna talked about this. Now in the face of this, we're seeing three things which will help. Why does it always have to be three things? I think if people register three things better, I guess. So three things, right? One is, how do you drive cybersecurity, AI-driven cybersecurity architecture? What it means is, at every place where you're generating these alerts, whether it's your endpoint, your firewalls and stuff, you try and get everything into a single place and stitch it, right? Because remember, when an attack happens, it leaves traces across. Network se aaya, it could be a phishing attack coming from a network, lying ultimately trying to some endpoint and then trying to get across your data and stuff. So how do you, rather than looking at these incidents separately, how do you stitch this? So correlation and stitching, AI-driven is number one, right? A SOC should have that. Once you've done a good job of that, the next step obviously is automation. Now it's very, very ironic that in the SOC of today, automation happens last. The analyst does the manual part of the job upfront. So, that's where I think we are missing the ball. So automation first, and then the analyst comes in. And once you do these two things, I'm going to now use a third term which you may have not heard before. You're all used to using the word shift left. I'm going to say shift right. You need to shift right. What do you need to shift right? I think Kavitha touched upon it very nicely, is that once you get time and you've done away with these alerts which have now become incident and you've taken care of them using automation, you're now shifting right to doing more threat hunting, more proactive stuff, going after and finding stuff and stuff. But this is, I think, the only way, if not, to reduce those mean time to detect and response. And we are prime example, I think, is we are doing that in sub-seconds. Under 10 seconds to detect and 1 minute to remediate.
Right. Thanks, Huzefa. And last round of questions for our panelists. We have very less time in our hands, so I would request panelists to, keep it a little briefer. Kavitha, since you're CISO at Infosys, right, could you talk about how Infosys has fostered a culture of, innovation and adaptation in the face of rapid advancements in AI-driven cybersecurity solutions? Could you?
Innovation is pretty much at the heart of everything we do at Infosys. Infosys has been a pioneer in some sense. This city is where Infosys has pretty much started and potentially contributed significantly to put it on the global map. Having said that, we do have a capability called Infosys Topaz, which takes up everything from an AI standpoint and looks at it on how best organizations can leverage AI. Organizations, governments, and societies can leverage AI for their benefit across different aspects. It could be to be able to go ahead and transform talent at scale. We as an organization go into hundreds of thousands itself, and when we say that we have to go and train our talent, we want to be able to go ahead and leverage our technologies such as this. Topaz gives us those capabilities to be able to go ahead and use for training and skilling purposes. We are able to go ahead and embed aspects of AI across all aspects of development and engineering life cycles. We're able to go ahead and take it across to be able to say this is how customers can benefit across different domains, whether you're talking financial services, you're talking about telecom, or you're talking about the media, or for that matter, consumer or retail. And of course, we're able to go ahead and leverage the likes of Topaz for everything from a security standpoint, which is at the core of everything you will have to do no matter what. And I think that's where we will see that AI will play a very, very significant part. And in that, we are out there at the forefront with Infosys Topaz.
Right, brilliant. Ashu, could you give me, as a expert in this area, could you give me some advice for organizations who would want to leverage AI for improving their overall cybersecurity defense?
Yeah. Okay. See, one of the use case which I'm just recalling it right now, for the faster detection and response, what I see that any large organization should deploy or using the power of Gen AI, they need to have integrated with the source of data, like networks, endpoints, your identity data, your embedded system data, your IoT, sensors and everything. You should be passing this data with the Gen AI tools, whereby it can detect anomaly or maybe faster detection of the malicious content or maybe patterns and all. It will do, unlike humans, it will do very fast on that. Then we as an organization, once you've integrated this to AI tools, how we can leverage data, how I can train my security professionals to use this data for training, simulation, attacking, and to safeguard our organization. That's the way I see that organization must be integrating all their sensor or source of a data with the power, AI power enabled tools to safeguard the organization. Not only that, after that you can automate all your security tasks and processes whereby you are there in the cybersecurity space to meeting their needs and minimizing the security risk around.
Thanks, Ashu. Huzefa, I mean, it's all generative AI in terms of cybersecurity also. Could you give me an idea about what you foresee in the future in terms of cybersecurity? Now it's Gen AI. What could we see in the future?
I get to say the last word, is it? I prophesize things. No, I don't think I have that depth of knowledge to probably prophesize, but I'll put my thoughts on two aspects, right? It's just not Gen AI, it's the two parts of AI,
right?
Precision AI and generative AI, right? Precision AI, it's not new. It's been around for 8-10 years. We have been using it in our network security, cloud security. It's all about getting in terms of those deep learning models to understand what kind of attacks are coming from behavior perspective, from the attacker's nature of the attack perspective. How do you keep using those models, refine it? That's prescriptive AI. And I see that getting better and better with more rich data coming in. Generative AI, on the other hand, which has caught up fire since the last year or two, is going to be all about how do you make the tools far easier to use. I think Swapna, Anil both talked about it, right? In terms of how do you make this whole thing simplify. Having said that, there is one trend which is going to fuel this, and that's, I think, pockets of it happening, is standardization or platformization in cybersecurity. And let me give you why my thoughts are on that. This is one domain which I've yet to grapple with. I've worked in many domains, but cybersecurity is so cluttered, and I'm sure both the panelists will agree with me. Do you know how many average cybersecurity company exist in the world? Take a shot. No idea? Should we say KBC? Option A, 500. Option B, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 2,000, or 2,500 and above? Option D. B, you're wrong. Option D. There are close to 2,500 to 3,000 cybersecurity companies trying to make sense into your environment. In a customer's environment, on an average, there are 30 to 35 different tools. Now, I'm not saying that everything can be consolidated, but you need to look at pockets of consolidation, because it's going to help in terms of how you look at and try solving things from that perspective. So I'm going to make a statement which says, which is the enemy number one of cybersecurity. All of you might feel the adversaries and all, but I personally feel complexity is the biggest enemy of cybersecurity. We've made a sort of museum of sort from an environment perspective. The more we consolidate, the more of power of the data stitching comes in. The more the automation, the more the AI ML models will start working on those, and that's the trend I see going ahead.
Right.
While you do mention that, I must say that organizations will continue to have not a fragmentation of tool landscapes, but really be able to go ahead and get the best of the several tools which are out there and capabilities which are out there, and be able to bring them all together in a consolidated manner to give defense in depth to a certain extent. And by the way, since you are on statistics, Bangalore, unfortunately, seems to be the cybercrime capital of India, as we see in the media. And for that, I think there's an onus on all of us as cybersecurity professionals, as well as technocrats, CIOs, to be able to keep our landscape secure. We must use the best of breed in terms of technology, the newest of capabilities, and make sure that we continue to go ahead and skill ourselves to be keeping ourselves secure.
Thank you, Kavitha. Thank you, Ashu. Thank you, Huzefa. Big round of applause for them, please. Thank you.
Thank you.